G'day One What Fly Squad, welcome back to another Thursday trip report. My name is Jaden. Today we're at Ho Chi Minh Airport, the international terminal. I'm doing a flight that I don't want to do, Vietjet VJ89 from Ho Chi Minh to Perth, then onwards to Adelaide. So yeah, now without further ado, let's go check in with Vietjet. It appears to me that Vietjet doesn't have their own dedicated check-in counters at this airport. I just walked down to one of the check-in aisles for Vietjet, but it was closing down. I got so confused and I was worried, but I wasn't late for my flight. Then a Vietjet staff came to me and asked where I was going to. I said Adelaide. Then he directed me to check-in counters I8 and 9 specifically. When I got there, the counters weren't even open. There were two guys in front of me going to India. Both our flights leave in 2 hours, so really the counters should be open, but they weren't. Anyway, we checked in after waiting for 15 minutes. I then headed straight to security and immigration. It always takes a while at this airport. Today it took me about half an hour. It was a little bit stressful because you have to pick a line and then you hope that it goes the quickest, but usually it isn't the case. Our flight Vietjet 89 will board through gate number 14. Gates 10 to 14 are bus gates. If you're departing from Vietnam for Australia, you'll have to go through secondary security check. There's no X-ray or body search, but it's a simple bag search. You're not allowed to bring through any liquid, plus the water fountains have been emptied out due to Australian regulation. That means no water until you get on board and you need to buy them. Vietjet runs 5 weekly flights from Ho Chi Minh to Perth. 2 of those flights go to Adelaide as well. However, Vietjet is not allowed to sell flights between Perth and Adelaide, so for those going from Perth to Adelaide, they would have started their journey in Ho Chi Minh like me. Here's a breakdown of my airfare today. The air ticket itself is quite cheap at 36 Australian dollars, or about 23 US dollars. And then you add those fees like admin fees, terminal fees, plus I've pre-purchased a meal. It added up to 248 Australian dollars, about 160 US dollars. So regardless how bad or uncomfortable the flight might be, it is so cheap. You pay more than that just to get from Adelaide to Perth. Here's our aircraft today, a 4-year-old Vietjet Airbus A321neo, Victor November, Alpha 523. The configuration on board is all economy in a 3-3 layout. Here's my seat today, 26 Foxtrot. You can see condensation coming out from the aircon. Outside temperature is scorching. For the next 10 hours or so, I'll be sitting here and I'll quickly show you the seat features. There's no personal TV or coat hook. The tray table is quite tiny. My MacBook Air is too big for it. You can pull the tray table backwards, but because the space is so cramped, there's no point. Here's the standard seat pocket. Legroom is so disappointing. I know it's a low-cost flight, but I've been on many low-cost carriers where they offer much more legroom than this. I'm only 5'10" and my legs are literally touching the seat in front. I really don't recommend this product if you're my height or taller. The seat does recline at a comfortable angle, but you have to push quite hard. Importantly, there's no headrest or any charging outlets. Boarding is completed and thankfully it's not a full flight, I've got the whole row to myself. I'm able to spread my legs.
International Airport will take approximately 6 hours and 20 minutes. However, stopover at Perth International Airport in 1 hour and continue journey to Perth International Airport. Adelaide International Airport. On behalf of your check captain of Stopover, first team and crew member, but take your flight with check today and wish you a blessed flight.
those who didn't pre-order a meal online, or you want to add something else to your cart, you're more than welcome to do so on board. Prices aren't too bad, and actually you get a discount if you pre-order. From memory, payment methods on board are cash and card. As this flight is quite empty, a lot of people started moving around to find an empty row. The cabin crew literally approached each and every of those passengers to charge them. They weren't moving to extra legroom seats, but the crew still wanted to charge them seat selection fee. It does appear that the cabin crew make commissions from those payments. They were so eager to charge passengers for seat selection and meal orders. For my meal deal, it cost me 12 Aussie dollars. It's $9 on board. Before the crew started the meal service, they gave out arrival cards for Australia. 30 minutes after takeoff, the crew started the meal service. It took them a while to get to my row 26 because they were taking orders, taking payments, and making the meals at the same time. At the end, it actually took them another half an hour to reach my row, so while I was waiting, I took out my personal pillow and blanket and I took a nap. So I'm actually not that hungry at the moment, so I wanted to save my meal for later, possibly before landing or during the second flight. The crew were really happy to accommodate. She said just press the bell button when I'm hungry. Meanwhile, she gave me a pack of peanuts and a bottle of water. Those items come with my meal. With 4 hours and 30 minutes until we touch down in Perth, I'm gonna sleep now and adjust to Adelaide time. Unfortunately, I didn't sleep well at all. An hour into my sleep, liquid was travelling through my throat. It wanted to come out. I looked behind at the lavatories, there was a queue. I looked at the seat pockets, there was no vomit bags. I never needed them, but when I needed them, they weren't there. So then, embarrassingly and hopelessly, I vomited on my shirt and on the floor. Thankfully, the cabin was pitch dark. I had no neighbours sitting next to me, and people around me were sleeping, so no one actually knew I vomited. But eventually the crew figured it out because my shirt was so gross, and I was suffering from food poisoning from the burger I ate earlier. So within an hour's time frame, I went to the bathroom like 5 times. The crew were so nice, they asked if I was alright and they offered me hot water, the best medicine in Asia.
Departing at Perth International Airport, please present your boarding pass to cabin crew before leaving the aircraft. For passengers continuing to Adelaide International Airport, please remain seated on the aircraft. Thank you.
We're now landing in Perth. For a moment, I really wanted to go to the hospital and get off at Perth Airport, but the consequences is going to be annoying. For example, I don't know if they're going to remember to take out my bags. I have to get my own flight to Adelaide eventually, so I decided to suck it up, smell terrible, stay on board and go to Adelaide. Once we arrive at the Perth International Terminal, the Perth passengers are going to get off, Adelaide passengers will remain on board. We're now at the international terminal of Perth Airport. The Perth passengers are now disembarking. The cabin crew are remaining on board as well. They're going to Adelaide with us. They then did a head count and they verified each cabin baggage with us in case the Perth passengers left it on board. We just left the gate, engines are starting up. We're ready to leave for Adelaide. It's now almost 2 AM in Perth. This flight is only possible because there was no curfew at Perth Airport. I would say from Ho Chi Minh to Perth, about 40% of the passengers got off. The rest of us, about 60%, are going to Adelaide. Shortly after takeoff, the crew started the meal service again, and this time they gave me my hot meal without drinks because they gave it to me already on the first leg. So what I pre-ordered online was Yang Chow fried rice, also known as special fried rice in Asian restaurants in Australia. It actually took me years to realise special fried rice was Yang Chow fried rice. The fried rice was delicious. It was a godsend to my empty stomach after that illness. I have a funny story to tell. So during 2016 to 2018, I lived in a boarding school in Adelaide. There was one evening the menu says chow mein, which means fried noodles in Cantonese or Mandarin. I told the boarding staff, "Oh, today we're having fried noodles," and they were like, "No, it's chow mein, not fried noodles," and they were serious.
During our touchdown time it favored the conditions for arrival. And I'm sure you've had to.
We're landing soon, so I'll quickly conclude this trip report right here, right now. Our journey today started at Ho Chi Minh Airport. It was so disorganized there, I didn't know which check-in counter to use. It didn't say on the flight departure board. Due to Australian requirement, you need to go through security again before you board this plane. So it's not Vietjet's fault, but because of that, you're basically forced to buy drinks on board. And unlike Jetstar subject to Australian regulation, Vietjet don't have to give you free water. As for the meal, the prices were alright, slightly cheaper if you pre-order, and actually cheaper than eating in the terminal at Ho Chi Minh Airport. The fried rice I had was absolutely delicious. Now for the seat, it was horrendous, probably the worst I've had in recent years. In the past few years, I've flown Jetstar, Bonza, Ryanair, and hands down Vietjet had the worst legroom. Although the crew were really passive-aggressive in charging you for everything, when I fell sick on board, they were really caring. They checked on me, gave me free hot water. They were also happy to accommodate me when I said I wanted my fried rice for later. So in conclusion, the flight was super cheap. It's a not so bad option if you've got nothing else to choose. For example, the lady sitting across me, she came from India. She usually flies Cathay Airways, but the ticket cost over $1,000. It was a last minute booking, so she went for Vietjet instead. For me, I could have paid a little bit more to fly a Chinese carrier, but I'll likely end up in Sydney or Melbourne first. This direct with a stop flight to Adelaide really does appeal to many travellers, even though it's low cost, really stingy, and uncomfortable. So what do you think? If you live in Adelaide, or imagine you live in Adelaide, you don't get many international flights. Would you consider Vietjet? Let me know in a comment down below. Now please enjoy the rest of the video and the vlog after disembarking, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bây giờ là 7 giờ 10 phút hiệu động ngoài vòng quay 18 độ C. Khuyến cáo an toàn, bắt đầu bật yên tại chỗ, cài dây an toàn và lưu ý không bật điện trong lúc này. Cho đến khi máy bay dừng lại cần có tín hiệu cài dây an toàn được tắt. Quý khách tuyệt đối không hút thuốc. Đây là thông tin lịch bay, điểm đến các chuyến khuyến mại. Quý khách truy cập vào trang web Vietjet Air hoặc liên hệ 1900 1886. Các bạn chọn không Vietjet, chúng tôi rất là hạnh phúc với quý khách và rất các chương trình chuyến bay tới. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Adelaide International Airport. The local time is 10 minutes past 7 a.m. and the outside temperature is around 18 degrees Celsius. For your safety, please remain in queue to fasten until the aircraft will start the fastest bedside speed turn off. Smoking is strictly prohibited. For more information about our schedule and destination, let's listen to get person tickets. Visit our website Vietjet Air or contact 1900-1886. Once again, on Vietjet, we'll take a flight with you and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. I get it.
G'day One What Fly Squad, welcome back to another Q&A. It's been a really long time the past few months I've been only doing vlogs at the end of the trip reports. So I ran out of vlogs, so that's why I'm doing a Q&A today. And last week I invited my patrons and my YouTube members to ask me questions, and I got 8 questions in total. It's actually more than 8 because some of them asked me more than the question. So 8 respondents, more than 8 questions. So let's kick off with Gary. So he's asking me where I learnt to use iMovie and how do I securely and safely manage all the recording data because my iPhone would get full, blah, blah, blah. That's a good question, and I wonder what other creators do as well. So personally, I learned to use iMovie. I use iMovie because in year 9 in Australia, I went through drama class and we had to learn to use iMovie. So that was really useful. School is really important. And then how do I manage my data? I use iCloud. I believe it's called Apple One in Australia, where it's basically a family plan. I could add 5 or 6 members into my plan, and I pay $49 each month for it. So about $30 per month. It's a bit expensive, but when you split that between all 5 or 6 people, it's quite cheap, and you get Apple Music, 2 TB of storage. Pretty good, I would say. So the next question I've got from Sean, how's the move going? So in case you've missed out on my previous stories, I'm currently in the process of moving from Adelaide to a new location. And the new location should be Hong Kong because I just broke my pen. 6'4", got a job there. So at the moment, 6'4" is in Sydney. I'm just traveling until he gets his flat in Hong Kong. And I'm traveling instead of staying in Adelaide because I've done some maths, and continuous traveling is cheaper than paying rent in Adelaide and do some travels, going back and forth as well. All the domestic flights in Australia, it's not cheap. So that's why I'm traveling at the moment. I'm currently in Agra, 2 hours drive from Delhi, where Taj Mahal is, and I'll go there tomorrow. So the move is going well. I've got stuff in Sydney, some stuff in Hong Kong, a little bit stuff left in Adelaide, which I'm going to go pick it up next week, actually. Glenn, I'm no longer in Adelaide, so how has it changed my travel planning? So definitely no more expensive domestic flights. It's time consuming and lots of money as well. Being based in Hong Kong means that I'm closer to the center of the world, so that way I can explore the airlines around the region, such as airlines in Cambodia, the Philippines, plenty I still haven't tried, and it's cheaper too, so I'm looking forward to it. Leo is asking my favorite airline alliance and any thoughts on the troubles at Boeing. My favorite alliance, hands down, One World, because they've got the Emerald status, whereas Star Alliance, they've got Gold, but they don't have Diamond or Platinum to match up the Emerald. Same as SkyTeam, they've got Elite Plus, which is like one more Sapphire, and Star Alliance Gold, but they haven't got Elite Plus Plus, or whatever they would call it. So you miss out on the first class lounges if you're Star Gold and Elite Plus with SkyTeam. 1 second. Hello, I'm back. So housekeeping was checking if I was alive. So the next question would be any luggage recommendations. I'll be very biased, but I'm a huge Delsey friend. All my Delsey suitcases have been really long lasting, good quality, good warranty as well. A bit pricey, but I've been using mine for 10 years since I moved to Australia. And it's still working perfectly fine. So 10 years, almost 1,000 flights, worth it. Oscar's asking any unbiased option whether Singapore or Cathay is better. Whoa, that's going to start a debate. So let's break that down into several categories. Let's start from the airport experience. If I'm just talking about the hub airport, pretty much the same. Each airline's got economy, each airline's got priority. However, Singapore Airlines, if you're Star Gold with them, you use premium economy. Cathay, if you're Silver or above, or One World Ruby, you could already use the business class check-in. So depending class of travel, I suppose, because first class, for example, Singapore hands down better. You've got like a separate terminal or separate room for it. And then for the lounges, hands down Cathay. I haven't been to the private room of Singapore, so I can't comment much. But for the business class lounges, Cathay is 20,000 times better. Even British Airways and American Airlines got better lounges than Singapore. And then on board the plane, Singapore Airlines, I find them to be a bit more consistent. Some people are going to say robotic, but I don't think so. I mean, you've got several robotic people, but not every one of them is like that. They're more consistent, they're very professional. Cathay, they're a bit more, either they hate you or they love you. Either they come across as rude because they're from Hong Kong, or service from the heart, if you know what I mean. In-flight entertainment, pretty close. I would say Cathay is slightly better. They have a bit more options, and Skytrax gave them the award as well. But I do like the fact that Singapore Airlines, you could log into your KrisFlyer and it will show you what you haven't finished watching from your previous flight. Wi-Fi is free on Singapore, thumbs up. Cathay, it's not even free in business class at the moment, but they're working on that, apparently. For the food, I think economy, Cathay is better, especially on shorter flights. Cathay give you more. Even on flights to Australia, Cathay give you way more than Singapore Airlines, even in business class. But in general business class, Singapore is slightly better because they've got Book the Cook and they've got some very unique and exotic dishes. Power out. And then for the seats though, in economy, generally I prefer, let's break that down into aircraft types as well. If it's like a 737 Singapore Airlines and an A321 Cathay, this is a hard one. I prefer the leg room on Singapore, but I prefer the seat itself on Cathay. If it's a wide body 777, definitely Singapore Airlines. 333 versus Cathay's 343. Business class, I think Cathay as well. Better leg room. Singapore Airlines, you have to sleep on your side. First class, I can't comment, haven't done Singapore Airlines first class, but the suite is quite worth trying, I suppose. Anything else? I don't know. So all in all, they both got their pros and cons. Sometimes Singapore is better, sometimes Cathay is better. But then, which one is better these days? I don't know. Okay, I've kind of decided. So Cathay in Singapore, when you're up in the air, they're equally good, 50-50. But on the ground, Cathay is always better. The ground surface is more consistent, whether you're in Hong Kong or outside of Hong Kong. And the lounges in general, much better. So Cathay, slightly better. Let's zoom into this one. It looks like you always have a nice clean shave. What do you use for hair removal on your face? And skincare routine? Well, definitely not today because I'm not flying. I haven't shaved in a day or two. Did I shave yesterday? Don't know. Anyway, interesting question because what I do is quite different to most people. I don't use, when I shave, I don't use, what do you call it? Shaving cream or lotion. I use conditioner. And how did I even start using conditioner? So one day I was traveling and I forgot my shaving cream, and then I googled what to replace shaving cream, and the answer was body lotion or conditioner. I tried both and I found out that conditioner is so much better, and I even prefer it over shaving cream. And especially when I travel so much, right, you have access to conditioner all the time in the hotel, so I just stick with conditioner nowadays. It's so smooth. Like if you've used conditioner on your hair before, you use it for that reason as well, right? For the smoothness. So I use it to shave. A skincare routine. Excuse me, that was a burp. Skincare routine. I don't do too much, but in dry climates, like currently in Delhi and Agra, it's really dry, like 17% humidity last time I checked. Adelaide, South Australia as well. I do a little bit of face lotion before I sleep or whenever I feel dry. On the plane, I carry a small bottle of lotion as well, because the aircraft environment is always super dry. Facial mask, I do it from time to time, usually after a flight. Graham wants an update about what's happening with me and 6'4", who's where at the moment and what's next. So I kind of answered that before. 6'4", currently in Sydney, and he's not in India with me for two reasons. He ran out of money and I ran out of money to sponsor him, and he had his uni graduation a week ago, so he had to be back in Sydney. What's next? Next week, actually not next week, in 2 days time, I'm flying Air India to Sydney to catch up with 6'4", and then we're going to go to Adelaide to meet, to see Lily. Haven't seen her in 2 months, I miss her so much. And then after that, we're going to go to Queenstown. I think it's going to be like a annual thing from now on, Queenstown. It's a beautiful little town in New Zealand, very picturesque. And what's next? So high chance that he's moving to Hong Kong. He's already got told his position in the company, and it should be in Hong Kong. However, it's very flexible, the role, so he might be traveling every month or every week, who knows. So that's all the questions I've got today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week when I upload another trip report. Bye.